Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Today is Friday, May 21st, 2021, and this is your Friday planning video. Thanks for watching. Before we get into the planning video too much, as I promised in the last video, since the Wednesday market video was a little bit, since the Tuesday market video was a little bit late coming out Wednesday, wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything and wanted to just touch base on that a little bit. Actually, the news actually came out on Wednesday, so we'll talk about that a little bit more next week, but let's talk about it briefly. The Fed minutes came out on Wednesday of this week, although there was a lot of talk about what it said and what it didn't say. It seems like things are about what we've been talking about. The Fed is talking about tapering the support that they've been putting into this market. So we think that you'll probably see something like that come in the June meeting. There's so many different opinions as to when this is going to come about. The last one I heard was Wharton professor Jeremy Siegel, who did indicate that he's very concerned about upcoming inflation. He even said that you could see some rate action by the end of this year. Now that is earlier than most people are thinking. It's earlier than what the market is expecting right now. So we'll just keep an eye on those. Please keep an eye on those Tuesday videos. That's where we'll be stay real focused on that, seeing what's going on with inflation and the markets and the likes of that. Earnings continue to be very strong. Commodity prices finally broke and are coming down a little bit, or at least growing a little bit more slowly. So again, stay tuned. Watch those Tuesday's videos. As far as some planning ideas, since the 2020 tax deadline has now passed, let's talk about tax planning for 2021, or at least what's left of it, right? So we're now in the period where you can make 2021 IRA and Roth IRA contributions. We've talked about a lot here over the last year about making monthly contributions to your non-retirement account. That is, of course, after you've already maximized your retirement account. So think about doing the same thing in your retirement account, monthly contributions. Again, the constant monthly contributions into those retirement plans and the non-retirement plans, something we can talk about, but it's a great technique to be able to continue to have that money invested as the markets go up and the markets go down. So keep an eye on that. Let's talk about that if you are interested, but whatever we do, however you do it, let's talk about funding those IRAs for 2021 if it's appropriate in your plan. You should have a good idea of what your 2020 taxes look like, and now's the time we tear those apart, we dig into those, possibly with the help of your tax professional, and let's see if there are changes that can be made for 2021, or at least what's left of it, to keep as much as your growth away from taxes. So let's see if we if it's the way we can look right now, long-term versus short-term capital gains and the likes of that. As we've discussed in the past few weeks, if your accounts have moved a little bit off line from out of balance and need to be reallocated, now's the time to start looking at those. I've said it many times in the last couple of weeks. As the markets are near highs, that's when we want to do it. We don't want to make those decisions after the markets have come down and say, oh, I was too risky. If you believe that your risks need to be evaluated, let's talk about that. Let's make sure we get that set up. If you did some buying in March, April last year, those gains are now long-term capital gains, so you can do some tax efficient and tax smart strategies to rebalance. So we've spoken a lot lately about what the upcoming tax rates are going to be, what they're going to look like. This week, we're actually going to get some more solid information for what they possibly could look like. So we saw last month the president came out and put forth his tax plan. This coming week, the 27th to be exact, he'll come out with his budget. So when that budget hits the table, we'll start to get an idea of more how we're going to pay for the nearly $4 trillion in spending that's going to be proposed. It'll be important to look at what's called the Green Book, and we'll make some decisions, maybe with your tax advisor, and see if it makes sense to make some of these changes. We have to evaluate whether we think these things are going to pass or not pass, but it is time to take a look at these things, seeing what we may or may not do. We've seen ideas, everything from the capital gains rate doubling to getting to removing the estate step-up basis on estate plans. So we need to look at that and see what that looks like. So like last week, actually, I think I'll put together a short video explaining another topic. This is about the 10-year rule on inherited IRAs. Again, an issue that's going to come into play for those of you with large retirement accounts. Those large retirement accounts, they do get set up in a different way after the passage of the last law last year. So we want to keep an eye on that. We'll talk about that. Keep an eye out for that video. With the market moves over the past year, you may have some significant capital gains. We're going to maybe, if you're thinking about philanthropic plans, maybe a donor advised fund is right for you. So let's talk about that, see if that works. We are quickly approaching the end of the school year. Most of you have your plan set for the fall. Well, next Saturday is May 29. That's 529 College Savings Day. So last year we did a 529 coffee chat about the college savings plan. If you're interested in seeing that, take a look at our YouTube channel. Let me know. I'll send you a link to it. It is something we want to talk about. In some states, you're still able to use the 529 plans for K through 12 as well as college. But if we're just using it for college, for example, in Illinois, then certainly there's some great benefits if that works in your plan for some tax efficiency. So finally today, let's talk about the planning process. I don't know about you, but it seems like we were locked in our houses for years, and slowly but surely we're getting out again to some degree of normal. Now it's almost halfway through the year. Let's talk about, is this one of those years, one of those milestone years that's going to require some extra planning? 50, 59 and a half, 62, 65, 67, 70, 72. If you're near or at any of these birthday years, let's talk about it, because those years do have some significant impacts on your planning. So let's talk about what we're going to do with that. I happen to be in one of those years this year. So remember, what we can talk about on Tuesday is mostly the noise, a lot of what's going on day to day. You can keep track of that in with our Tuesday market video, or obviously feel free to just call me. These videos continue to be about the plan, about the goals. Let's keep our eye on the long term. We'll make the course corrections when we need to make those, when necessary. Let's talk about the components that are important. Let's talk about permanent income. Let's talk about long-term care. Let's talk about education planning, philanthropy, and of course, some attention to your estate. Please, as we get to the end of the first half of 2021, let's make sure we reevaluate and make sure that we're still on track for the year. So no one could have predicted what the last 12 months would have been like. And I know everyone thinks that that's a unique statement, but I have to tell you, I've been doing this for nearly 28 years. It's not so unique. Every year we think about the ideas that we had no idea that last year was going to be like this, and we have no idea what the coming year is going to be. So what we do, we never know what to expect, but what we do is we'll continue to strive to design your plans with strategy to achieve your goals. So I look forward to, again, seeing everybody in person, hopefully soon when you get vaccinated. And if not, talking to you on the phone or doing a Zoom meeting with you sometime soon in the meantime. So otherwise, listen, stay safe, have a great weekend, enjoy the spring and the sun that's out there, and we'll see you next week.